Oh boy, I'm going to get killed for this, but this is so much fun to put together. Coming up, we're counting down the songs that we're not supposed to like. Some call them guilty pleasure, some call them bad songs, others call them cheese. But when nobody's looking, most of us sing every word when they come on. Like I said, I'm going to get rebuked for this, and I've done it before, but there were some I left out. Got to get to it, including a track. It's a ballad from a band of shredders. This sounds like a camp counselor campfire song. And somehow hit number one, but we love it. Then there's a song written by a Swedish songwriter who didn't know English, and it was so confusing that even the band didn't know what it meant. And honestly, I don't think we do either. And then there's one of the PMRC's most wanted, an infamous Filthy 15 track that gave the phrase guilty pleasure a whole new meaning. Plus, there's a literal boy band who wrote a song with a chorus so catchy, it is still stuck in our heads 28 years later. It's actually a good thing. It's been mocked mercilessly, even though it's one of the most emotionally mature songs of the time. They're all songs we secretly love, but we'll never admit. I will. But when no one else is around, I'm telling you, all bets are off. Latest edition of our Guilty Pleasures Countdown. Next on Professor of Rock, brought to you by Acorns Early. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you ever got beat by Mike Tyson on Punch-Out like we all did, you're going to dig this channel of deep musical nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now, and make sure to click the bell so you know when our stuff comes out. I just got my butt kicked on Punch-Out. We got a new Nintendo. I was playing with my kids, and I couldn't get past Soda Popinski. Anyway, make sure to also check out our podcast on Apple and Spotify. You can click here or click below. All right. So I'm going to take a lot of crap for this one, but let's be honest, most people that are going to scorch me in the comments probably secretly love these songs more than me. And truthfully, we've all got those songs. You know what I'm talking about. Those tracks that you can't quite admit to listening to, at least not in public. When there's no one else around and the shades are pulled down, you have no problem, or we have no problem, cranking them up full volume. And you know what? I really don't believe in guilty pleasures. We like what we like, and it's okay to admit it. There's no shame in it. They're shamelessly catchy and completely irresistible, and that's okay. So for today, I've lined up 6 of my top so-called guilty pleasures countdown. Well, actually, I'm going to call it my no shame countdown. From boy band bubblegum to hair metal bands, this is the latest edition of the No Shame Countdown. Let's go. Kicking off the countdown at number 6, I've got LA's own Warrant with a 2-for-1. The Rocker Down Boys and the power ballad Heaven. Down Boys was Warrant's debut single, and it arrived like a neon warning shot from the Sunset Strip. It was pure hair metal ambition. Now, formed in LA in 1984, Warrant cycled through multiple members until vocalist Janie Lane and drummer Stephen Sweet joined in 86. Now, that version of the band, featuring Eric Turner and Joey Allen on guitars and Jerry Dixon on bass, that became the definitive lineup. By 1989, Warrant had clawed their way into the spotlight with their first album, Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinkin' Rich. I had a copy of it on tape and on CD. It was a title that spelled out their rock and roll aspirations for sure. And here's the deal. It's like yacht rock. If you say hair metal or glam metal or whatever, pop metal, you're going to offend somebody. Hair metal is a name that was given by the powers that be, just like yacht rock. Actually, comedians did yacht rock. I'm just going to say hair metal here. Don't get pissed at me. The album dropped when hair metal hit its peak saturation point, but Warrant carved out a niche with a sound slicker than Poison. It was poppier than Rad. Down Boys led the charge with his chunky guitars, a stomping groove, and a title that was built to stick. So Janie Lane once joked that the phrase referred to the guys who always got the girl. But for a band trying to break through on the Strip, the better question was how to be one of those guys, let's be clear. Janie Lane penned most of Warrant's material, and Down Boys, it was like a mission statement for this band. Janie would say, I always wanted a hook that felt like an anthem, but also had that sleazy thing that we loved about bands like Aerosmith. I love that. He nailed it with this song. It actually hit number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100 and reached number 13 on the U.S. mainstream rock chart. Dirty Rotten, it eventually went double platinum, one of the best hair metal albums of the late 80s. Guitarist Eric Turner later would say, "We lucked out with our first single. MTV played the crap out of it and they got tons of ads at radio. The song was a big hit." This one was pure metal excess. MTV ate it up. Warrant soon found themselves on the road with heavyweights like Motley Crue and Queensryche. They were living the rock fantasy they've been chasing for so many years. But unlike some of their peers, Warrant leaned into the spectacle. Said bassist Jerry Dixon, and I quote, "It was about having fun. We weren't pretending to be serious at all. We were just being the Down Boys." That mix of self-awareness and shamelessness made them magnetic. But also a little ridiculous, let's be honest.
Where the Down Boys go, heaven isn't too far away.
As for Heaven, it's the power ballad that ended power ballads. One of the last, one of the best. And this is what the band told me about it.
This is the song that we were selling out 2 nights at the country club, unsigned artists, 1,000 people a night. Every person in there, girls were already crying to Heaven.
Oh, yeah.
They knew the words. Were like, we got to do this song for our fans. They've been there for us for all these years and sold out shows. If we don't put Heaven on there, they're going to kill us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So reluctantly, Bo agreed to put the song on there, and thank God, because that song put us over the top.
The guitar song, when you first hear it, kind of that acoustic, it's got a really unique sound to it.
It's kind of
you know
almost
exactly
like
what it is.
It might be mic placement or something like that in the studio, but it just fades in. And Janie, that's the way it started live. So maybe trying to capture a little bit of that vibe.
Warrant came at the end of glam or hair metal, glam metal, hair metal, whatever you want to call it. Grunge took over a few years into their run, but with Down Boys in Heaven, this band showed that they could rock out and out-ballad the best of them. Coming in at number 5, I got the acoustic campfire sing-along song that, let's be honest, none of us can resist. It's another Johnny Come Lately in the winding down of the pop metal era. Mr. Big with To Be With You. So by 91, glam metal was slipping off the charts. Grunge was knocking on the door, and really no one expected a tender power ballad from a band of shredders to own the airwaves. Well, I guess Extreme did it already that summer with More Than Words, but no one expected it to happen again. Let's say that.
More than words.
But that's exactly what happened with To Be With You by Mr. Big.
Deep inside, I hope you feel it too.
Known for their monster chops, Mr. Big was a latecomer to the glam metal scene. Formed in 1988, they named themselves after a song by the band Free.
It's got to be. So Mr. Big.
And they were a bit of a rock supergroup. You had bassist Billy Sheehan. He was fresh from David Lee Roth's band, and guitarist Paul Gilbert. He was from the speed metal act Racer X. Rounding out the lineup was Pat Torpey on drums and Eric Martin on vocals. Really good vocalist. Mr. Big was built to rock.
Never get enough. I'm addicted to that rush.
Yet their softest song became their biggest hit. It's usually how it goes.
Both of you. So come on, baby. Come on over.
Their second album leaned into a showcase technical wizardry and polished hard rock for sure. But buried on side B was a song that really stood out. Sweet little acoustic number written years earlier by Martin. That song, To Be With You, it was heartfelt and completely out of step with the rest of the album.
Just to be the next to be with you.
Eric Martin originally wrote the song when he was just 16 and infatuated with a girl named Patricia. He said, "We were really, really good friends. She was beautiful. She was smart. I love this woman, but she only wanted to be friends. She'd have tons of boyfriends, and maybe she misconstrued promiscuity for love, but I wanted to be that knight in shining armor. I wrote it about how I would have done anything to just be more than a friend, more than a confidant." Now, despite his best efforts, Eric Martin could not escape the friend zone, and that's what happened.
Go down. The game of love was already down.
Billy Sheehan initially doubted that the track would fit the band's vibe at all, but then after hearing Martin sing it backstage one day, he was definitely swayed. Their label Atlantic Records insisted that they record it as a throw-in to put it on the album. So To Be With You was placed last on the album like a closing campfire song. Now, Billy Sheehan said, "We didn't think of it as a hit. It was just a little goodbye tune." But surprisingly, it was a throwaway track that made them household names.
Let me be the one to show you.
It was released in late 91, and To Be With You exploded in early 92, climbing to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topping charts in more than a dozen countries. The band was stunned. We were a hard rock band. I thought we'd be famous for our musicianship, not a little love song. That's what Eric Martin would say. Gilbert added, "We'd start sets with our fastest shred songs and people just wanted to hear that ballad."
I can make you start to smile.
To Be With You is the kind of guilty pleasure that really sneaks up on you. A power ballad from a band of serious musicians built around teenage heartbreak and finger snaps. And you're not supposed to love it, but then the chorus hits and you instantly remember all those words. I mean, for a band built on technical prowess, their moment of softness struck the loudest chord. And rather than shy away from it, Eric Martin stood by the song proudly. He said, "I love singing it every night. It's never been a curse." I love that. That's the way it should be. I want to mention our sponsor. You know, I have this friend who used to give her kids a fake credit card. Well, the real credit limit and everything, just to teach them financial responsibility. And I remember thinking, what a great idea. And then I discovered Acorns Early, and wow, it takes that whole concept to the next level. It's a smart app and a debit card made just for kids ages 6 to 18. It helps them learn how money works in real life. You know, saving, spending, earning, and it helps parents manage it all, from tracking purchases to setting up chores and allowances. As a parent of 2 young kids, I'm all in on this. I only wish something like this existed when I was growing up. I also found out that on the Acorns Early app, you can even open an investment account for your child and learn about building wealth together. It's not just smart, it's a great way to connect with your kids about their future. Head to acornsearly.com/POR or download the Acorns Early app to help your kids grow their money skills today. Again, that's acornsearly.com/POR. Acorns Early Card is issued by Community Federal Savings Bank, member FDIC, pursuant to license by MasterCard International. T&Cs apply. Monthly subscription fee starting from $5 per month unless canceled. All right, next up at #4, I've got a song that puts a whole different spin on the expression guilty pleasure. And if you remember listening to this one back in the day, you're going to know what I mean here. I'm talking about Sugar Walls by Sheena Easton. Now, in the early 80s, Sheena was pop's poster girl for innocence. That wouldn't last. She started off as this wholesome Scottish debutante. She was behind soft pop hits like Morning Train, you know. Things got a little more risque with the James Bond theme for Your Eyes Only. Love it. But 1984 came around and Easton made one of the boldest pivots of the decade. The sultry, synth-driven song Sugar Walls. It shocked her fans, it riled up censors, and became one of the most controversial guilty pleasures of the MTV era. I mean, on the surface, it was a sleek piece of electro-funk. Such a catchy song. But if you listen more closely, you'll definitely understand why it raised eyebrows. Written and produced by Prince under the pseudonym Alexander Nevermind, Sugar Walls, it wasn't coy. It was steamy and unapologetically about sex. Specifically about Sheena inviting her man to spend the night in, Yeah, it's the name of the song, which is code for a body part. And though the song was a big hit, the code word for that body part, it never became part of our vernacular. It's very much tied to the 80s. Prince wrote the song specifically for Sheena Easton. It's after the two struck up a creative friendship. He really admired her voice and saw untapped potential beneath the good girl image. Now, according to Sheena Easton, she didn't fully grasp the lyrical implications at first. She said it sounded cool and I liked the groove, but then someone said, you know what he's talking about, right? Once it clicked, she wasn't fazed. Sheena released Sugar Waltz as the second single from her Private Heaven album. This happened in December of '84. By early '85, it was storming up the charts. It actually reached the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 9. It also went to number 3 on the R&B chart.
Temperatures rise inside my sugar wall.
However, there would definitely be pushback. Tipper Gore and the Parents Music Resource Center, PMRC, they added Sugar Waltz to their infamous Filthy 15 list, a roll call of songs that were deemed morally corrupting. Other familiar favorites, we've covered some of them. Cyndi Lauper's She Bop, Def Leppard's High and Dry, Twisted Sister's We're Not Gonna Take It. And of course, Prince's Darling Nikki makes a couple of appearances here. Suddenly, Sheena Easton became an unlikely poster child for pop music cultural war. But despite the backlash, or maybe because of it, Sugar Waltz gained even more attention.
Come inside.
Today, the song lives on as a kind of R-rated time capsule. For many of us Gen Xers, the song triggers memories of turning the volume down when our parents walked in the room.
Take advantage. It's all right.
Sugar Waltz turns Sheena Easton into a sex symbol overnight, and for my money, no woman has ever sounded sexier. Sheena was my crush as a kid, and this song messed with my mind, I gotta say. She's so underrated. Launched 1,000 parental complaints, and gave us one of the most daring pop moments of the 80s. Gotta love Sheena Easton. She's got such an amazing voice. In at number 3, I've got the Countdown's first boy band, Backstreet Boys, with their confusing but strangely irresistible hit, I Want It That Way.
I want it that way.
And I'm being honest here, I've never met anyone who doesn't like this song. It's a great song. I hate boy bands, love this song.
Tell me why ain't nothing but a party.
So, the band started out in Florida in '93 under Lou Pearlman. It was AJ, Howie, Nick, Kevin, and Brian. They actually found success in Europe before breaking into the States with their '96 self-titled debut. It was their 4th single, Quit Playing Games With My Heart, to reach number 2 on the Hot 100 in '97.
Playing games with my heart, with my heart.
And then that same year, the group released their sophomore album, Backstreet's Back, and they just kept the hits coming. Not a big fan of their stuff up to this point, but in 1998, the Backstreet Boys put out their 3rd album, Millennium, and it was a monster hit. It shipped 11 million copies in the US just that year, eventually sold 24 million worldwide, and it's because of the lead single, the mid-tempo ballad that took a surprising turn from their earlier radio-friendly pop hits, I Want It That Way.
I want it that way. What are we?
Now get this song was thought to be a risk by their label. They reluctantly released it, and the single soared. It topped the charts in 25 countries. It hit number 6 on the US Hot 100. It dominated the AC and pop charts. And again, I'm being serious. I've never met anyone who hasn't said, I hate boy bands, but I Want It That Way is a great song. It is. I don't care what anybody says.
Tell me why I never wanna hear you say.
Looking back, band member Kevin Richardson admitted, ultimately the song really doesn't make a lot of sense, though. It's a sentiment echoed by Nick Carter, who once said they just went with it. But really, the lyrics don't make a lot of sense. They seem to be about a guy trying to rekindle the fire with his partner, but he keeps telling that person, I want it that way, without explaining what that means.
I want it that way.
It's the most confusing of that since Meatloaf's I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Thing for love, but I won't do that.
The song was co-written by Swedish record producer and songwriter Max Martin and Andreas Carlsson. And at the time, Max Martin didn't have a full grasp of the English language. And he admitted that he wasn't entirely sure what that way meant. AJ revealed years later that the label nearly changed the lyrics to something more conventional. The label even brought in all-time rock producer Mutt Lange to rework the tune so it would make more sense. That's right, Mutt Lange worked on this song. Lange's version had lyrics like, "I love it when I hear you say I want it that way." But the group actually liked the original version better, so they stuck with it. Through the years, I Want It That Way's guilty pleasure status has grown. It's grown larger than life. The song's received the Weird Al treatment in the form of 2003's eBay.
What I bought on eBay.
And the music video is parodied in Blink-182's music video for All the Small Things. Songs popped up everywhere from Scrubs and Glee to Magic Mike XXL to Geico commercials. There's also that legendary Brooklyn Nine-Nine cold open.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
As for the band, their affection for this track has not dulled. AJ said it was the turning point. He said it wasn't really until we then released I Want It That Way that everything changed. I mean, sure, the song doesn't make that much sense, but man, those harmonies and that instantly recognizable chorus bypass all logic, and it just makes us want to sing along. And I know you're not supposed to like it, but when the beat drops and they start singing Tell Me Why, you cannot tell me you're not all in. And even if you do tell me you aren't, I don't believe you. Coming in at number 2, they're supposed to be tough. They're supposed to have had the right stuff. You know what? Not a big fan of NKOTB, New Kids on the Block, but I gotta admit, their top 10 hit tonight is pretty awesome. All right, before you flip out on me, you curse my name forever and question my last 5 statements or countdowns or whatever. This song is so catchy. Every time I play it to someone who has no idea what it is, they always say, this song is freaking cool. Including one of the biggest Metallica fans on the planet, a friend of mine. Let me be clear about something. I'm not an NKOTB fan at all. I got offered the chance to interview him and I said no. I interviewed somebody that was on tour with him, Debbie Gibson and Tiffany, because I had crushes on both of them as a kid. But one of my friends said, why didn't you just interview the new kids, man? Just do it. And I said, because I was afraid that the 13-year-old version of me or the 14-year-old version of me would come back in a time machine and beat the living hell out of me. I mean, it's true. But this song's amazing. By 1990, the New Kids on the Block were riding one of the wildest waves in pop music. They become a full-blown cultural juggernaut. They had trading cards, remember? Lunchboxes, sold-out arenas, dolls, even their own Saturday morning cartoon. Now, the New Kids were the brainchild of Boston producer Maurice Starr. He'd previously discovered and managed the band New Edition. Hoping to replicate that success, Starr recruited 5 working-class teens from the Boston area: Donnie Wahlberg, Joey McIntyre, Danny Wood, and brothers Jordan and Jonathan Knight. Now, the group trained extensively, developing their vocals, their choreography, and their image, while Starr shaped their sound around slick, radio-ready R&B and bubblegum pop. And it worked, man.
Well, I guess it's a brand new day after all.
Their 1986 debut album failed to make much noise when it came out. But you know, the band continued promoting it through school tours and local TV appearances. And slowly they built their fan base, especially amongst teenage girls. Mostly amongst teenage girls.
See the girls with the girls in the hair.
Their breakthrough came with 1988's Hangin' Tough. Featured 5 top 10 hits. There was Please Don't Go Girl, You Got It the Right Stuff, and the title track, Hanging Tough.
You got the right stuff, baby. 'Cause you gotta be hanging tough.
It went 8 times platinum in the US, and then at the peak of their fame, the New Kids dropped a curveball, Tonight, a song unlike anything they'd ever done before. Tonight was the 3rd single from the group's 3rd studio album, Step by Step. In this track, it stood apart. It wasn't bubblegum. It was kind of a weird genre-shifting ode that started soft and sweet and then veered into a psychedelic jam. It was a big swing for a group best known for synchronized dance moves and radio-friendly hooks, and SNL skits that made fun of them. Written and produced by Maurice Starr, like I said, Tonight was essentially a thank you letter to their fans. The lyrics reference previous New Kids songs. It was self-referential and nostalgic, even though the group had only been famous for a couple of years. That was the part that was a little weird about the song.
Remember when we said, girl, please don't go.
Surprisingly, Tonight charted well. It hit number 7 on the Hot 100 and topped the UK singles chart, making it one of their biggest international successes. Still, the song divided critics and even some fans. Was it brilliant? Was it bizarre? Was it both? Was it dumb? The tempo shifts and trippy outro confused DJs, and it never quite got the same radio love as The Right Stuff or Hangin' Tough. Still, over time, Tonight found a second life among New Kid devotees who, dug its experimental edge, and it's just a cool song. It is. Donnie Wahlberg would later say, "We just wanted to try something different, and tonight was us being a little brave." In hindsight, Tonight stands out precisely because it didn't play it safe. It's a pop guilty pleasure that goes beyond nostalgia. It's like watching the cool kids get weird at the school talent show, right? And somehow they pull it off. Today, the song is a favorite deep cut New Kids on the Block's live sets. Longtime fans sing it word for word. Might not be as recognizable as their bigger hits, but for those who lived through the New Kids mania, Tonight is definitely the best song they ever put out. All right, we're at the number 1 spot, and this one, I think it's going to surprise you, though I did talk about it a couple of weeks ago, and I said I would cover it. My top guilty pleasure track is Hanson's MMMBop. So if you were alive in 97, there's a good chance this song is already stuck in your head, and it's been stuck there since 97. But whether you can't stand it or secretly love it, we all remember when this song blew up on the airwaves. MMMBop by Hanson was absolutely inescapable. It was everywhere. It went to number 1 in 27 countries. That includes here in the US, where it claimed the top spot for 3 weeks. As for the album it came off of, Hanson's Middle of Nowhere, that sucker sold 10 million copies. There's a big reason for that, right? Because MMMBop is one of the catchiest, most feel-good songs of its time. And I'll go to the grave with that one. It's a sugar rush mixture of falsetto harmonies and peppy pop, and it boasts one of the most singable choruses in music history. The song was written and performed by the long-haired adolescent brothers from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Isaac Taylor and Zach Hanson, and actually for one brief night, David.
This has been a really big year for me and my brothers.
MMMBop propelled the trio from garage band to global phenomenon. It practically happened overnight. And here's the kicker. Beneath the bubblegum and the bop bop bops, MMMBop actually had roots as a melancholy song. It's actually a very mature song for these young brothers. The Hanson brothers wrote it as a slow tempo track about how relationships fade over time. According to Zach, the song started out as the background part for another song. So we started singing a slightly different incarnation of what is now the chorus of MMMBop. That sort of stuck in our heads, but never really worked as a background part. Over a couple of years, we really crafted the rest of the song, And it was something that we almost stumbled upon. So actually, Hanson first released the song on an independent album. It was also called MMMBop from 1996. And that version has the inescapable chorus for sure, but it's a lot more mellow. Growing up, the Hanson brothers listened to a lot of 50s and 60s music. And Zach Hanson actually said, and I quote, "If anything, MMMBop was inspired by the Beach Boys and vocal groups of that era. And using your voice is almost a doo-wop kind of thing." The song helped Hanson get a record deal with Mercury. It was released as their first single in 1997 when Isaac Hanson was 16 years old, Taylor was 13, and Zach was only 11. Once again, Zach explained, and I quote, "What that song talks about is you've got to hold on to the things that really matter. MMMBop represents a frame of time or the futility of life. Things are going to be gone, and all that's going to be left are the people that you've nurtured." I mean, back then, like me, you probably passed it off as a happy bubblegum pop song. But if you actually really listen closely to the first verse, it's about loss and fleeting relationships and existential uncertainty. I mean, the lyrics are, you have so many relationships in this life, only one or two will last. You go through all the pain and strife, then you turn your back and they're gone so fast. I mean, that's pretty deep for a 11-year-old and a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old. As for the famous music video, it was everywhere. Showed the brothers skateboarding, riding bikes, and goofing off around Los Angeles. But their sound, Motown harmonies and tight songwriting, truly set them apart from the prefab pop that dominated the late 90s. These guys were not manufactured. They were just young and freakishly talented. 11 and 13 and 15? Are you kidding? Or 16? After the global success of MMMBop in 97, Hanson did face the daunting task of proving they were more than just teenage pop sensations. Actually, their follow-up albums this time around in 2000 and Underneath in 2004 saw the trio lean into a more mature rock-leaning sound with influences from soul and classic rock. Though these records didn't replicate the commercial success of their debut, they helped establish Hanson as serious musicians with songwriting talent for sure. In 2003, the brothers launched their own independent label, 3CG Records, taking full control of their music and building a devoted grassroots fan base. They've continued releasing albums into the 2020s, including Against the World in 2021. They've even dabbled in other genres with side projects like the one we mentioned, the supergroup Tinted Windows. Though Hanson's post-MMMBop career has been defined by reinvention and artistic independence. Even with all that though, MMMBop quickly became a punchline. The song's goofy title and the sugary hook made it an easy target, like most songs like that. Late night hosts mocked it and critics were quick to dismiss the band as kid-friendly fad. But over time, the perception began to shift. Fans grew up and many came back to the song with a new appreciation. Today, MMMBop remains one of the standout pop hits of the 90s and a textbook guilty pleasure track for sure, but it's a no-shame track. It's the kind of song that people pretend to hate until it plays at a party and suddenly everyone's singing along, kind of underneath their breath. Hanson, to their credit though, never ran from this song. The guys know it opened the doors for their career. Zach once joked, probably be playing it when we're 80. The truth is, if you listen to their newer, slowed down version, it really shows the emotional depth of the song. The lyrics just mature beyond their years, and it shows why the song is so much more than meets the eye, and so much better than it ever got credit for. Well, that's my top 5 guilty pleasures or no shame picks. What do you think? What are your guilty pleasures? What do you think of my picks? What are some underrated musicians that people have dogged on that are actually really, really good, or songs or artists or albums? Let's have a great discussion about this. It's time to stop worrying about what people think and like what you like. Probably most of you are out there. We also hate what we hate. So You know, there's a lot of tunes out there that frustrate us. I get that. But let's have a great discussion. If you like our content, we invite you to subscribe below. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.